Well, trade talks with U.S. President Donald Trump have stalled. The president made the announcement after he saw an ad run by the Ontario government using audio of Ronald Reagan denouncing tariffs. Tariffs have been they've had a devastating impact on BC's forestry sector already. Just last week, the family-owned Sinclair Group Forest Products said it will be scaling back operations by 40% at 3 of its sawmills. And this morning, our Ministry of Forest announced they're going to be opening a new trade office in Europe to diversify our trading partners. Joining us now is Ravi Parmar, BC's Minister of Forestry. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Gloria. Thanks for having me on. And
well, we only have a few minutes here, so I'm going to ask you to sort of summarize as much as what's going on here. What about the ad from Premier Doug Ford? What did you think of that approach?
Well, look, I think it was a great approach. Premier Ford stepped up and ensured that he was taking the message of his workers and his people directly to Americans, and I commend him for that.
I see. Would you like to see BC adopt a similar approach?
Well, look, what the Premier said earlier today is that we have to stand up for forestry workers. It's my job as the Minister of Forests to defend the interests of workers and defend their paychecks. And so that means that I have to take that message directly to the United States. And in particular, in my case, the ads that we're exploring are digital ads. They're not TV ads. It's a much smaller budget. And it's about making that message known directly to lawmakers in the United States that the actions of their president is nothing but a tax on middle-class Americans who want to be able to build homes, or in the case of many families that I've met, rebuild homes like California, which have faced devastating wildfires. And so it's important that we take that message directly to Americans, and that's what we're exploring in the case of our ads.
I see. Did you do that in tandem with Doug Ford and people in Ontario, or were you doing that on your own already?
Yeah, we were certainly, I'm sure the premiers have been talking, but in the case of my ministry and the work that we've been doing this on our own. Certainly commend Premier Ford for the work that he's doing. He's clearly started a message and has started a conversation in the United States, and we're certainly having conversations of our own in Washington, D.C., where we're hoping to explore launching digital ads as well. Premier also talked about the importance of Ottawa stepping up, and I'm really pleased to hear that Ottawa is working with British Columbia to hold an emergency meeting to talk about the dire circumstances we're facing with our softwood lumber industry right now.
I see. Well, what more can you tell us then about the impact of the tariffs on our industry? I mean, I just mentioned the scaling back at a major company here in BC. What else have you seen?
Yeah, well, look, Sinclair Forest Products, fantastic company in northern British Columbia. We know about Interfor and its curtailments in Grand Forks, as well as Chase, BC. There's so many challenges facing forestry right now. It's hard to keep track. And again, the heartfelt message that I want to leave with workers is we're going to stand up for them. We're going to fight for them each and every single day. And that means taking our message directly to Americans, but also doing the important work we have to do here in British Columbia. So many challenges, and we need the federal government to step up and support us the same way they're stepping up and supporting Ontario and Quebec with their steel sector, their aluminum sector, their auto sector. You know this well, Gloria. British Columbia's forest sector. This is our auto sector. This is our steel sector, and we need the support of the federal government to help us in regards to that.
Well, and it's interesting, you're kind of going it alone. I mean, BC's Crown Corporation Forestry Innovation Investment, you're going to be opening an office in the UK. I mean, what can you tell us about that?
Well, my message directly to all British Columbians in relation to forestry, and this is a very similar message that Prime Minister Carney has talked about, as has Premier Eby, is I never want workers to be put in this position ever again. We can no longer trust the United States. And in the case of forestry, we are too reliant on the United States. That's why I've directed the organization Forestry Innovation Investment to open an office in the UK. Really excited to share with your listeners that we have been successful in getting boots on the ground to be able to help support not just the UK, but all of Europe, North Africa, as well as the Middle East. I really see the UK, similar to how we talk about British Columbia, as the gateway for many markets. And it's why we're going to have an office with boots on the ground, helping to support our processors that create world-class wood products here in British Columbia, find customers in those markets.
Okay, so you want to export wood products. I mean, right now, BC's biggest forest product export to the UK, those are wood pellets that are burned to generate electricity for their power grid. I mean, some people say they're not the best use of our wood fiber. I mean, is this the type of export you want to grow?
Well, look, there are tons of wood products that are market destined for the United States and have been for the UK and other markets in Europe and the Middle East and North Africa. I think coastal British Columbia is well positioned to be able to provide world-class wood products. That's going to be my focus, making sure that the products that were typically destined for the United States find markets in Europe and those markets that I talked about. And it's why I'm heading to Japan and South Korea next week to continue the conversation in those markets as well. I have to ensure that we find those customers, and that's why I'm going to be leading next week the largest four-sector trade mission that we've ever had in British Columbia to make sure that we can collectively, industry and government, get boots on the ground to be able to open up and expand those markets further.
Right, and with our Prime Minister in Malaysia and other areas in Asia, are you feeling hopeful for what he might be able to accomplish in reaching new markets?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we, certainly wish that this work started a long time ago, Gloria, but that's the world we live in. And so without a doubt, we're feeling very optimistic that from the conversations we're having with a number of the countries you just named that the Prime Minister is visiting, that we're hopeful that we'll be able to take our world-class wood products, but also other products that British Columbians create here in our beautiful province and make sure that we can find those customers. Like I said, the relationship with the United States has changed forever, and I never want to see a worker in British Columbia ever put in this position ever again.
Ravi Parmar, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Ravi Parmar is BC's Minister of Forestry.